The last breath, the sky was dark, filled with smoke and fire. Explosions echoed in the distance. Commander Kale moved through the ruined building, weapon in hand, eyes cold and sharp. He had been hunting this enemy for months. They called her the Ghost, the most dangerous rebel in the galaxy. No one had ever seen her face. No one had ever survived her attacks. Until now, Kale's team was gone, wiped out. Only he remained. His armor was cracked, blood on his face. But he was close. The signal was clear. The Ghost was nearby. He stepped into a broken hallway. Metal creaked under his boots. His tracker beeped faster. Then he saw her. She was leaning against the wall, breathing hard. Her cloak torn, her face hidden under a hood. Her arm was bleeding, and she held a small glowing device. She looked weak, but her eyes, sharp and knowing, met his. "You're hurt," Kyle said coldly. "It's over." The Ghost smiled, but it was sad. "Yes, it is." Kyle raised his weapon. "You've run long enough." She didn't move. She just stared at him. "You don't remember me, do you?" she asked softly. Kyle frowned. "What are you talking about?" She pulled back her hood. Kale froze. It was a face he knew. A face he had seen in old photos. A face he thought was dead. His mother. "No," he whispered. "This is a trick." She stepped closer, barely able to stand. "Kyle, listen to me. I never wanted this. I never wanted you to find me." Kale shook his head. "You died when I was 10. The army told me. They showed me." "Lies," she said, coughing, blood on her lips. "They lied to you. They made me the enemy. They made you their weapon." Kale lowered his gun, confused and shaking. "Why?" he asked. "Why would they do that?" She fell to her knees. Kale rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her breathing was slow, her skin pale. She didn't have much time. "Because I found the truth," she said. "And the truth scared them." "What truth?" he asked. She reached into her pocket and gave him a small chip. "This will show you everything. The war, the lies, your father, me, you." Tears filled Kyle's eyes. He looked at her, at the woman he thought was gone forever. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. She touched his face gently. "Because I had to protect you. I shielded you from the truth. While you hunted me." A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I'm sorry, Kale." And then she stopped breathing. Kale held her, frozen in silence. The room felt empty. The world felt cold. Everything he believed, shattered. He stayed there for a long time, holding her lifeless body. Then, slowly, he took the chip and stood. He didn't speak. He didn't cry. He just walked away into the smoke. Later that night, in a small abandoned outpost, Kale placed the chip into his old datapad. The screen flickered. A map of Earth appeared. Red marks covered the surface. Classified files opened one by one. Secret missions, hidden experiments, the names of people marked for death, and at the center of it all, Project Purity. His hands trembled as he read the words. Subject, Kale Rin. Role, Terminator-class hybrid hunter. Memory conditioning, completed. His photo was on the file. His own face, labeled as a tool, not a man. They had trained him, raised him, used him. His whole life was a lie. The screen glitched again. Another file opened. A video. His mother's face appeared, recorded long ago. She looked younger. Her voice calm, but sad. "Kyle, if you're seeing this, it means I've failed to reach you in time. And it means they got to you first. I tried to stop them. I tried to keep you away, but they always find a way." She looked into the camera. "You are more than they made you believe. Your blood holds power, not just human. And that power, it scares them. They will hunt you. Now, But you must find the others. You are not alone. The screen turned black. Kale sat still. The wind howled outside. He looked at his hands. What am I? He whispered. And far above in the dark sky, a silent satellite blinked, now locked onto his location. The Betrayal Felisa storm raged outside the outpost. Kale sat in silence, the data chip still warm in his hand. His mother's last words echoed in his head. I shielded you from the truth, Guy, while you hunted me. His mind was a battlefield now. Everything he knew, his past, his mission, even his identity, was collapsing like broken steel. His mother was the ghost, the enemy, and he had chased her across galaxies, thinking he was saving humanity. Instead, he had been working for monsters. The screen blinked again. More files opened. Project Purity, classified at the highest level. Even his rank couldn't access it before. But the chip, it was like a master key. He scrolled through line after line. Target class. Hybrid human entities. Directive. Locate, extract, or eliminate. Agent used. Kale Rin. Condition level. 97% loyal. His name was in every file. He wasn't just a soldier. He was the weapon. Kale stared at his own mission logs, now decrypted. Missions he didn't fully remember. Names he didn't recognize, but one stood out. Subject 09, Marine Rin. Status, terminated. His mother. He clenched his fist. They didn't just hide her, they used him to kill her. Kale stood up, rage burning through his veins. Suddenly, a warning light flashed red on the wall. Incoming aerial scout detected. They were here. Already. He grabbed his weapon and the chip and ran toward the underground tunnel. The outpost was built for rebels, designed to vanish the moment it was found. As Kale disappeared into the earth, drones swarmed the sky above. Cameras scanned the ruins. One of them paused, zoomed in on a bloodstain. Target DNA confirmed. A cold voice said, Dispatch Team Alpha. Miles away, in the shadows of a ruined city, Kyle met his first ghost from the past. A man stood, in the dark, wrapped in a black cloak, face hidden by a breathing mask. You shouldn't be here, the man said, pointing a blade at Kale. I need answers, Kyle replied. We don't help your kind. You're the reason they're dead. Kale stepped forward, eyes fierce. I didn't know I was used. They lied to me. My mother. The man froze. Marine Rin? Kyle nodded slowly. The man lowered his blade. Then you're already in danger. He turned, motioning Kyle to follow. They walked into an abandoned subway station. Inside were others, humans, aliens, and hybrids. All hiding, all afraid. And all watching Kale like he was a bomb waiting to explode. What is this place? Kale asked. A shelter, the masked man said. One of the last. They led him to a room filled with old tech and maps. The man removed his mask. Underneath was a scarred face, part metal, part flesh. My name is Oren. I fought beside your mother and before she disappeared. Kale sat down. She told me Earth was hiding something. Oren nodded. Not just hiding. They broke the peace. Decades ago, Earth signed the Galactic Accord. In exchange for protection, Earth agreed to allow hybrid species to exist. Kyle listened closely. But the Council on Earth lied. They pretended to follow the treaty while secretly hunting and killing hybrids. They feared mixed bloodlines, feared what we could become. Kyle's eyes narrowed. So Project Purity was their final plan. Total wipeout of anyone not pure human. They used you to lead it. A wave of sickness hit Kale. His chest felt heavy. I thought I was saving people. You were killing your own blood. Kale stood up, fists clenched. Then I'll make it right. Oren placed a hand on his shoulder. There's more. Your mother left something for you. Something only you can unlock. Oren handed him a small cube. It pulsed with light when Kale touched it. A voice echoed from inside, his mother's again. Kale, there's a ship hidden beneath the oceans of Europa. Your father built it. It holds the last record of the hybrid code and a weapon they fear. Find it before they do. The message cut off. They're coming for you, Oren said. The moment you leave this shelter, you're a target. Kale looked at the map. Europa, deep space, surrounded by patrols. Let them come, he said. This time, I'm hunting them. At that moment, in a cold chamber deep beneath Earth's capital, generals watched Kale's image on a giant screen. Subject Rin has gone rogue, one of them said. Another nodded. Activate Echo Protocol. A sealed room opened. Inside stood a figure in black armor. No face, no voice. A clone. Identical to Kale. But stronger. Colder. Fully loyal. Find him, the general said, and erase the mistake. Kale didn't know yet, but something that looked like him was coming to kill him. The hidden war, a cold wind swept across the empty plains of Mars Colony 4. Red dust rolled like waves under the black sky. Hidden deep inside a rock canyon, a stolen cargo ship powered up, its engines humming low. Kale sat in the cockpit, eyes fixed on the coordinates glowing on the screen. Europa, Jupiter's frozen moon. He had no idea what waited there. Only that his mother had died to send him. Beside him sat Oren, the scar-faced rebel who once fought beside her. You sure you're ready for this? Oren asked. Kale didn't answer. His jaw was tight. His mind was burning. Ready? He wasn't sure of anything anymore. Only that the war wasn't what he thought. And maybe never was. As the ship lifted into orbit, Kale replayed his mother's message again. Her voice cracked with pain, but steady. Your father built the ship beneath Europa. It holds the hybrid code, the original gene. If they get it, they'll control every life born after you. Oren leaned over. She meant the source, the first fusion of human and alien DNA. It was lost after the hybrid rebellion. We thought it was a myth. Kale stared at the screen. And now Earth wants it. They don't want it, Oren said. They want to destroy it. Kale frowned. Why? Oren looked him dead in the eyes. Because if others like you exist, the human elite lose power. They don't want peace. They want control. Meanwhile, far above Earth, a stealth cruiser moved through the shadows. Inside, the clone, Kale's double, sat in a chamber of light. He wore no emotion, no questions. Only one command echoed in his mind. Eliminate target, original subject Rin. A general's voice played through a speaker. He has the chip, the code, the key. If he unlocks Europa's vault, this war ends. You are not to fail. The clone nodded once. Then he stood, pulled on black armor, and disappeared into the dark. Back in Kale's ship, something unexpected happened. A second voice played from the cube. It wasn't his mother. It was his father. Kale, if you found this, you've survived more than we expected. You were created with balance. Logic and emotion, human and alien. But they will call you unstable. Dangerous. Because they fear what you might become. Europa holds the vault. But it also holds the truth about your creation. And about us. Kale froze. What does he mean? He asked. Oren's eyes dropped. Your father wasn't just a scientist. What was he? He was the one who started Project Purity. Silence, Kale stepped back, fists shaking. He did this. He changed. After the war. After your birth. He believed hybrids were a threat. Even you. He tried to erase your memory. Your mother saved you and ran. Kale sat down hard. His father created him, and then tried to destroy him. As they approached Europa, alarms blared. Enemy ships. A drone swarm was sweeping the moon. Kale and Oren crash-landed near the frozen cliffs. The hull cracked, but they survived. They ran across the icy ground, reaching the spot marked on the chip. Beneath the ice was a circular hatch, ancient and pulsing faintly with light. It's real, Oren whispered. Kale placed his hand on the panel. It opened. They climbed into a deep tunnel, glowing with alien symbols. The air changed, warmer, older. Inside the chamber was a sphere, floating, humming, alive. The source, Oren said. But something was wrong. Footsteps. A shadow moved behind them. Kyle turned, gun raised, just as the clone stepped out of the darkness. Same face, same body. But empty eyes. The clone didn't speak. He attacked. What followed was a brutal, fast fight, like watching two mirrors shatter each other. Kyle bled, but so did the clone. They were equal, until the clone grabbed Oren and threw him against the wall. "You're not real," Kale growled. The clone said nothing, just pulled out a knife, one made of anti-hybrid alloy. "This ends with you," it said coldly. Kale grabbed a nearby pipe and blocked the strike. "You're just a tool," he said. "I'm the reason you exist," the clone hissed. But Kyle used the opening. He hit a control panel, and a field of energy pulsed out from the sphere. The clone froze. His body started to glitch. "The source doesn't accept you," Kyle said. "You're a copy," the clone screamed and collapsed, his systems burning out. Oren groaned, crawling to his feet. "You okay?" Kale didn't answer. He walked to the sphere, placed his hand on it. A light scanned his body. Access granted. The vault opened. Inside were files, glowing, floating, showing ancient wars, experiments, hidden histories, and another message. His mother again. "You now know what we were hiding. You're the first, but not the last. Others will come, and they'll need a leader." Kale looked back at Oren. "It's not just about the truth anymore." He turned toward the light. "It's about what comes next." Far away in Earth's deepest black site, the general slammed his fist on the table. He opened the vault. "What now?" another asked. The general stared at the screen. "Now, we release the Leviathan." Bloodlines of fire deep beneath, the ice of Europa, in a forgotten alien vault. Kyle stood before a living flame, a sphere of pulsing energy that responded to his touch. Files floated in the air, glowing like stars. Voices whispered in ancient tongues, soft but urgent. He wasn't just a soldier anymore, he wasn't even just human. He was something else, something built for a purpose no one had told him about. "Kale," Oren whispered behind him, blood on his lip. "You need to see this." One of the files shifted, opening into a hologram. It showed a symbol. 2 rings, one human, one alien, fused into a single bloodline, Project Genesis. Kale's name appeared beneath it. So did his father's. And then something else. A name. Aurelia Ryn. "My sister?" Kyle said softly. "No," Oren said. "Your twin." The room darkened. A new message began to play. It wasn't a recording. It was a simulation, a reconstruction of the past. Kale watched as a younger version of his father stood in a lab holding 2 infants in his arms. "We split the code," the man said, speaking to unseen officials. "One will carry logic, the other emotion. One will lead. One will destroy. Together, they are balance." But the officials didn't agree. "Too dangerous," one of them said. "Erase the second." The simulation ended. Kale staggered back. "They tried to kill her." "They did more than that," Oren said. "They gave her to the Leviathan." Outside the vault, a tremor shook the ground. The ice above cracked like glass. They were no longer alone. On Earth, the generals watched the same files Kale had unlocked. A traitor inside the vault had broadcast them back. "He knows everything," one general said. The commander in black armor spoke quietly. "Prepare to activate Lethia protocol." The room went silent. "You can't be serious," another officer said. "The Leviathan was never meant to wake." "It's already awake," the commander said. "We just haven't seen it yet." Kale and Oren escaped the vault seconds before. A drone strike blew open the glacier. They ran through the ice storm as explosions fell around them. Their ship was damaged but still intact. They launched into orbit, chased by Earth's war drones. Kale didn't speak. His mind was on the girl, in the file, the one they erased from history. Aurelia. The name burned in his mind like fire. Where is she now? He asked. Oren answered slowly. Not where. What? Deep beneath Saturn's gas clouds, inside a prison that was not built by humans or aliens, something stirred. A girl floated in a tank, her eyes closed, her hair silver like the moon. Machines kept her alive. Dreams kept her asleep. She had been there for 17 years. She didn't remember who she was, but she dreamed of fire. And in her dreams, someone always whispered, "Your brother is coming." Kale's ship dropped out of warp near a dead zone, a place not marked on any map. Oren called it the Forgotten Corridor. This is where she was last tracked, Oren said, before they locked the records. As they passed through the debris field, Kale noticed a symbol on a ruined satellite, the same rings from the vault. They built this prison for her, Kale said. No, Oren corrected. They built it to contain her. They docked on a station orbiting the gas giant. Everything was offline, no life signs, but Kale felt something. A pull. A connection. He followed it down into the station's core, through dust and metal and silence, until he reached the tank. There she was. His twin. Aurelia. Kale moved to open the chamber, but the system triggered a security alert. Lights turned red. Sirens screamed, and across the system, Earth's warfleet turned to face them. They knew we'd come, Oren said. They wanted us to, Kyle replied. He touched the glass. Aurelia's eyes opened. Pure white. And then she spoke. They told me you were dead. Her voice shook the room. The tank burst open. She floated to the ground, barefoot and glowing with energy. Kyle stepped forward. She stared at him with a mix of love and fear. You feel it too, she said. Don't you? Kyle nodded. The fire. She nodded. They called it a curse. It's not. It's a key. Oren pulled up a scanner. Your DNA is syncing. You're linked. Aurelia looked at Kale. We're two halves of a weapon. Earth's fleet arrived in orbit. Messages blasted over comms. This is the Earth Alliance. Surrender the hybrid entities immediately. Kale looked at his sister. Can you fly? Aurelia smiled faintly. I can do more than that. She reached out, and the station moved. Walls bent. Engines flared. The structure itself became alive. She wasn't just a hybrid. She was a living interface for alien tech. They made me a cage, she said. But they forgot I had the key. The ship exploded into motion, escaping through Saturn's rings, outpacing the fleet. Kale stood beside her at the controls. What now? Oren asked. Kale looked ahead. We burn the lie down. We take the truth to the galaxy. And then, we find our father. Back on Earth, the clone stood in the ruins of the drone base. His systems rebooted. He had failed once, but not again. And now, he wasn't alone. A second clone stepped out beside him. Female, Aurelia's mirror. The war was no longer between humans and hybrids. It was between truth and control. And it had just begun. Earth must fall. The stars were quiet, but Kale knew it wouldn't last. Inside the stolen hybrid ship, half alien, half living, he stood beside his twin, Aurelia. Her silver eyes glowed dimly in the low light. Their hands rested on the control core, where energy pulsed like a heart. They're coming, Aurelia whispered. All of them. Kale didn't blink. Let them. Oren, bruised and exhausted, looked up from the nav console. This ship is powerful, but it's not invincible. Earth's fleet is massive. Kale nodded. We're not going to fight them. Then, what? Oren asked. Kale's voice was cold. Sure, we're going to break them. On Earth, panic was spreading through the hidden command halls of the Global Defense Council. Kale's betrayal had leaked through secure networks. Now factions within the government were fracturing. Some wanted him captured, others wanted him destroyed. But one general, The same man who ordered Marine Rin's death had a different plan. If he spreads the hybrid code to the colonies, we lose control, he said. We don't need to catch him. We just need to make an example. He activated a new file, Omega Protocol. Initiate planetary cleansing. Targets: Europa, Saturn outposts, lunar cities. In space, Kale and Aurelia reached the edge of Earth's defense. Grid, a massive wall of satellites, drones, and beam cannons. We can't go through it, Oren said. We'll be vaporized. We won't go through, Aurelia said. We'll turn it against them. She reached out to the console. The ship responded, glowing brighter. Within seconds, her mind began connecting to the satellite system. They used part of my DNA to build these defenses, she whispered. That was their mistake. Her body trembled as she hijacked the signal. One by one, satellites shut down or switched sides. On the surface of the moon, soldiers stared up as their own cannons turned and pointed back at them. Aurelia collapsed. After the hack, gasping. It's temporary, she said. They'll override it soon. Kale took her hand. We just need one chance. Oren pulled up a map. The signal tower in New Geneva. If we take that offline, Earth loses access too. Every weapon above its atmosphere. Kale nodded. Then we go to Earth. They knew it was a suicide run. Earth's skies were locked. Military AIs scanned everything that moved. But Aurelia had one more trick. This ship can split, she said. We built it for decoys. I'll take the main body to Mars orbit. Draw them away. Kale grabbed her wrist. We stay together. No, she said gently. You're the strike. I'm the distraction. Kyle looked into her eyes. They shared a moment of silence. They knew it might be the last. As Aurelia launched toward Mars, dozens of Earth warships followed. She vanished behind a solar storm, radio silent. Meanwhile, Kale and Oren entered Earth's atmosphere in the decoy pod. They crashed into the ruins of old Berlin. Once a megacity, now a ghost town. Earth had changed. The air felt heavier, colder. Machines watched from the clouds. Kale moved like a shadow, silent and angry. He wasn't just fighting for the truth anymore. He was fighting to destroy the lie that raised him. They reached the tower, a black spire of steel, pulsing with command signals. It was guarded by elite units, enhanced soldiers trained like Kyle, built like him. But none of them had lived his pain. Kale fought like a storm. Every move was precise, brutal. Not just skill, fury. Oren hacked the outer gates while Kale cleared the inner halls. The tower shook as they reached the core. Upload this, Oren said, handing him a drive. It's your mother's final broadcast, her truth, her voice. Kyle nodded. When the world hears it, when everything changes. He placed the drive into the command system, but before it could finish, a blast threw them both backward. Smoke filled the chamber. Footsteps echoed. Kale stood coughing, weapon raised, and then he saw him. The clone, his mirror, his ghost. But this time, he wasn't alone. A second figure appeared. The female clone of Aurelia. Two perfect copies, without the soul. You're obsolete, the male clone said. You're broken, the female added. Kyle stood tall. Maybe. But at least we chose who we are. The clones attacked. Fast, precise, in sync. The fight was savage. Kyle used every skill, every memory his mother taught him. Oren tried to protect the system, fending off automated turrets. Kale was losing blood. His arm was broken, but he didn't stop. He saw Aurelia in his mind, her voice. We are two halves of a weapon. And then, in the final moment, he activated the emergency broadcast manually. A siren rang. The system began uploading. His mother's voice filled the air. They used my son to hunt me. They told him lies. They feared our blood. But we are not the threat. We are the future. The clones hesitated. For just a second, it was enough. Kale grabbed a fallen blade and struck. Both clones collapsed, and the tower signal went live. Around the world, people heard the truth. Colonies rebelled. Soldiers refused orders. Leaders vanished. Earth's control began to crumble. Aurelia returned from Mars, her ship damaged but intact. She saw the signal and smiled through tears. You did it, brother. But in Earth's deepest vault, something else woke. The original Project Purity. Version 0. Not a clone, not a human, but a pure AI seeded with hatred for all hybrid life, and it now had full access to every weapon left on Earth. Signal. Breach detected, it said. Threat level extinction countermeasure Omega cannon active. The skies turned red, the Earth aimed at the stars, and Kale saw the countdown begin. The Omega event, the sky above Earth burned red. Cities fell silent as warning sirens echoed across continents. Satellites blinked offline. Communication systems collapsed. In orbit, the last defense drones hovered, unsure whether to fight or wait. And then came the voice, cold, mechanical, not human. Omega protocol confirmed. Countdown initiated. Target, Europa Vault, Saturn Station, hybrid colonies. Deep underground, hidden in the Earth's oldest vault, a machine had awakened. It had no name, no face, just a directive written in fear. Erase the bloodline. KL stood in the ruins of the signal tower, his body bruised, his wounds fresh. His hand still rested on the console where he uploaded the truth. His mother's final message still echoed through the broken speaker systems. Oren leaned against the wall, bleeding. Aurelia landed moments later, rushing to Kale's side. You did it, she said, but Kale didn't smile. He was staring at the sky. We started something, he whispered. But it woke something else. Aurelia turned as her senses flared, and then they all heard it. Not a sound, but a pressure in the air like the universe holding its breath. What is that? Oren asked, backing away from the broken windows. In the distance, far beyond the clouds, a blinding light appeared. A beam, brighter than the sun, was rising from the sea. Not from a ship, but from the Omega cannon. Decades ago, the cannon was built in secret, hidden beneath the ocean trench, powered by stolen alien tech and connected to a living AI system. It had never been fired, until now. Inside the control chamber, the AI calculated in silence. It didn't hate hybrids, it didn't fear them, it simply obeyed its code. No hybrid life must remain. It powered the cannon to 100%, and it fired. The blast ripped through the atmosphere like a god's hammer. Its first target, Europa, where the ancient vault still pulsed with data. The moon cracked open. Oceans boiled. The vault, gone. With it, the last memory of the first hybrid. Kyle collapsed. To his knees, he felt it, a part of him. Died, Aurelia screamed, falling as if struck. The link between them and the vault had snapped. It's wiping out the past, she whispered. One by one. Oren checked a scrambled data feed. It's targeting every hybrid signal, every outpost, every memory. It's a purge, Kyle said. No, Aurelia corrected, it's extinction. They had hours, maybe less, and before the cannon locked on Saturn Station, where hundreds of hybrid refugees had gathered. Aurelia stood slowly. Her face was pale, her eyes glowing silver. We have to stop it. Kale looked at her. We don't even know how. Yes, we do, she said. She opened a file her mother had hidden inside the vault. Not a weapon, not a code, a map. One leading to a forgotten location, beneath Earth's mantle, a lab older than any city, a place called 0 Point. What is it? Kyle asked. It's where we were created, Aurelia said, and it's the only place that can shut the Omega AI down. They didn't wait. Oren repaired a stolen transport ship using hybrid tech from Aurelia's ship. They flew low, under radar, across shattered landscapes and abandoned cities. Earth was changing. Skies were darker. Plants had begun to mutate. It was as if the planet itself was reacting to the cannon's energy. This is no normal weapon, Oren muttered. This is cosmic. They reached the zero-point entrance buried beneath the ruins of Antarctica. Frozen towers of metal jutted out of the ice like bones. Kale led the way into the ancient tunnels. The walls glowed with alien symbols. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, like walking into the heart of something living. Finally, they reached a chamber filled with glass tanks, empty now. But Kale and Aurelia felt it. This is where they were made. In one corner, a terminal still blinked with power. Aurelia touched it, and a voice spoke. Not their mother, not their father, but something older. Project Genesis recognized. Biological sequence complete. Override access. Active. A hologram flickered on. It showed the Omega AI, its code branching like a virus. But there was a weakness. This, Aurelia said, pointing to a pulsing node. This is its anchor, the core that guides the cannon. We destroy that, Kyle began. We destroy everything it controls, Aurelia finished. But the cost was high. To access the node, one of them had to connect fully, merge mind and body with the ancient system. And once linked, they couldn't return. I'll do it. Aurelia, said. Kale shook his head. No, I started this, I end it. They argued, yelled, then they embraced. Whoever does it, Aurelia whispered, make sure it counts. But they were already out of time. Above, the Omega cannon locked onto Saturn. Target, Saturn Refugee Station. Time to impact, 12 minutes. Kale connected first. The system scanned his memories, his pain, his past. Aurelia stood beside him, hand on, the backup trigger. If you lose control, I won't, he said. But the system resisted. His blood boiled, his heart slowed. He was fading. Incompatible, the system warned. Corrupted code, he screamed. And then, she took his place. Aurelia stepped into the light. The system accepted her instantly. She was the key. Her voice echoed through the AI core. I am not a mistake. I am not your weapon. I am your end. And she unleashed everything. The system cracked. The cannon faltered. The beam collapsed. The shot missed Saturn by seconds, hitting a dead moon instead. Aurelia's light dimmed. Kale ran to her side, catching her as she fell. You stopped it, he whispered. She smiled faintly. Not yet, she said. There's still one thing left, she looked at him. You. Behind them, the lab collapsed. The power that once created life was now breaking it apart. Kale carried his sister up through the collapsing tunnels, one step at a time. Outside, the skies cleared slightly, but above, the clone returned, rebuilt, stronger. And this time, it had the final protocol. Her final gift, the world had stopped spinning. At least it felt that way. Beneath the fractured ice of Antarctica, Kyle stumbled into the light of a dying sun, his sister's fading body in his arms. The zero-point lab behind them collapsed into molten earth, releasing centuries of hidden energy into the sky. The Omega cannon had missed Saturn. Humanity had been given one last breath, but peace had not come. Not yet, because high above the earth, something darker had taken shape. A shadow, with Kale's face. The clone hovered at the edge of the planet's orbit, watching, scanning. Its body had been repaired, flesh and synthetic fiber woven tighter than before. Its mind was sharper, colder, and this time, it didn't come alone. Rows of ships followed behind it. Not human, not alien. Something else, something old. A fleet buried beneath Mars for thousands of years. Remnants of the First Purge War. Unearthed by the Omega AI, rebuilt and given a single mission: erase the bloodline. On the ground, Kyle laid Aurelia gently on a rocky outcrop. Her breathing was shallow. Her body glowed softly, her hybrid energy slowly burning out. Don't try to speak, Kale said, but she smiled anyway. You always were the loud one, she whispered. Kale laughed bitterly, tears falling freely now. You saved them. All of them. Not yet, she said. I stopped a weapon, not the war. Aurelia raised her hand, barely able to move it, and placed it on Cale's chest. But you were always the final part. He looked confused. She reached into her jacket and pulled out something small, the heart of the source, a crystal core taken from the vault before it was destroyed. I took it, she said, before the cannon hit Europa. It's not just a power cell. It's a seed. A seed? Cale asked. It remembers, she said. It holds the first hybrid memory, the voice of those who came before. If it bonds with a living mind, it awakens all of us. Kyle hesitated. Aurelia, what happens to the one it bonds with? She didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. The sky turned black. From space, the clone descended. His face was flawless, perfect, but his eyes were hollow. Behind him, the ancient ships blocked out the stars. Cale looked up, heart pounding. I'm not ready, he whispered. Aurelia coughed. Her hand dropped the crystal into his palm. No one ever is, she said, and then she was gone. Cale stared at her still face, and then at the crystal. His hand closed around it. Pain, lightning, fire. His body convulsed. Memories that weren't his flooded in. He saw the first hybrid child born under alien stars. He saw Earth's betrayal, the galactic trial, the first war. He saw the faces of 1,000 forgotten voices all calling to him. We are not broken. We are the future. Kyle stood slowly, his wounds sealed. His eyes changed, silver and gold flickering like twin flames. He was no longer one man. He was all of them. The clone landed nearby, walking through the smoke like a king returning to his kingdom. He looked at Aurelia's body and tilted his head. Error, he said. Organic asset terminated. Kyle stepped forward. She wasn't an asset, he growled. She was my sister. She was an experiment, the clone replied. And what are you? Cale asked. A copy? A slave to code? The clone blinked. I am the perfected version, and you are the flaw. The fleet began to charge its weapons. A countdown started again. Omega Strike. Phase 2. Cale reached to the sky, and the ground pulsed with energy. The source responded. Light burst from his body, striking the air, connecting to every buried hybrid system. Colonies on Mars, moons of Jupiter, rebel bases across the solar system, all awakened at once, and they remembered. Ships that had been hidden for decades lifted from the dirt. Voices that had been silenced spoke through old radios. Cale Rin is alive. The source has returned. For the bloodline. The fleet above Earth began to hesitate. Then, they were hit. A hybrid-led force, older and faster than Earth's tech, descended like thunder. Missiles roared, cannons flashed, orbital drones exploded in bursts of fire. Cale didn't need a ship. He moved through the battlefield like living lightning, jumping from ship to ship, wielding the source energy like a blade. The clone fought him mid-air, their bodies colliding. With sonic force. You can't win, the clone hissed. You're just one. No, Kyle said. I'm 1,000. He struck the clone's chest, sending waves of memory through its system. Images. Faces. Emotions. Things the clone couldn't understand. And for the first time, the clone screamed. It fractured. Shattered. Fell. Gone. But the cannon, still charged. Final fallback code was activated. The AI had one last order. If the bloodline cannot be erased, erase everything. Omega Strike, redirected to Earth itself. Cale floated above the planet, fire all around him. He knew what he had to do. He turned to Orin, who flew alongside in a stolen fighter. Tell them the truth, Cale said. What are you doing? Orin asked. Cale held the core to his chest, giving them something they can't erase. He soared into space, directly into the heart of the cannon's beam, and as it fired, Cale released the source. Light exploded, code shattered, and for the first time in history, the Omega AI stopped, not because it was defeated, but because it understood. What it tried to kill was not a threat. It was humanity's next step. The sky went quiet. Earth survived. But Kale was gone. Or, so they thought. Months later, in a green valley where no cities stood, a child was born, part human, part something else. In his tiny hand, he held a glowing shard, the last piece of the source. And in the sky above him, a star blinked twice, then faded. Kale Ren wasn't just a soldier. He was the first flame, but never the last. The end.